Irish traditional music and Scottish traditional music are also common. We play the same tunes, we have the same structures. They play reels, the reels which originated in Scotland. We play reels, we have an Irish slant on them. They play jigs, the jig originated in Ireland. They play jigs in the time signature with their particular slant on them. So the relationship between the two traditions is very, very deep.
We're in the town of Coatbridge, which is in Lanarkshire, about 8-9 miles from Glasgow. It's been traditionally over the years one of the main recipient towns for Irish immigrants, mainly in the late 19th century and the early 20th century. The town is made up mainly of 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Irish, and the existence of one branch of Cultus in the town is a reflection of Irish identity and culture here. This is also the band who played at the unveiling of the statue to Brother Walfrid at Celtic Park in late 2005. And they also played at the unveiling of the Irish Famine Monument at Carfin in 2001. And of course, as you might expect, all of them are Celtic supporters.
The Jet Charlton years are fondly remembered. They were the most successful in Irish football history. And among his great heroes were three with a strong Celtic connection. There was Liam Brady, one of Ireland's outstanding players of all time. Asked them in Italy, asked them in Arsenal about him. But at the end of his playing days, he went for a spell as manager at Celtic. And then there was Paddy Bonner, the man from Donegal, who got his first Ireland cap as a 21-year-old, indeed on his birthday, in Bydgoszcz, Poland. He kept goal for Celtic for years. And Ireland's Captain Fantastic, as he was called, at Italian 90, Mick McCarthy, too, had a spell at the heart of Celtic's defence. Great goalkeeper, in fact, played in Italian 90 for Ireland, from Donegal, Paddy Bonner.
Yeah, I thought Packy was a smashing goalkeeper, and for me, he was one of the biggest personalities that ever came. He came to Celtic at an era when Ireland were doing well. He became a very big personality for both Ireland and Celtic, and it really did open the door for a lot of Celtic fans in Ireland, because of the Packy Bonner relationship with Celtic.
Played with the Irish youth team, and Sean Fallon, who was then chief scout, obviously ex-assistant manager with Jock at the time, but he was a chief scout. He was over watching games, and there was a few people that take credit for sort of putting my name in there, and to Sean, and Sean then eventually came over to watch me play for the Irish youth team, and then got on to my local club, which was KG Rovers. Manager at that time was Manus McCole, and he came down to tell us that I was going to go for trials. So I went over for trials, and I think it was November 1977.
He was a great goalkeeper, and I think it also helped him that he played internationally. It helped Celtic Football Club that he was getting that level of experience as well, and he played for Ireland at very, very good times.
I got a phone call from Manus again to say that they wanted me to go out to a place called Roubaix in France for an under-18 tournament. Went out to that. Again, I thought I did pretty awful, to say the least. But suddenly I was at home in May, and I got a phone call to say that Celtic wanted to talk to me about signing. So that was a big moment, and my mum and my dad and myself, with Manus, and I think it was Brian McGonigal, who was working at the club at the time, and Joe Boner, went out to the Mount Errigal Hotel out in Larrykenny, and next thing in comes the great Jock Steen.
Packy then became the testament to Steen's astuteness and his judgment of young players.
Paddy Bonner, to me, was probably one of the best Celtic goalkeepers of them all. No, they talk about the great Johnny Thompson. Well, obviously we've never seen Johnny Thompson. Talking about the modern goalkeepers, Paddy, his big commanding figure, 6'4", whatever he is, his hands like big shovels, and he's always played well for Celtic.
Paddy, I thought, is one of the, apart from being a good goalkeeper, is one of the nicest people you could ever meet.
He was telling me a story, and I'm sure he'd tell the story himself too, but it was very funny that his son was in school, and the kid came out, he was picking him up from school, and the kid came out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he came down and said, Daddy, there's a garden feast on at the weekend, and guess who's opening it? And Paddy said, no, who? He said, Paddy Bonner. And Paddy said, son, I am Paddy Bonner. And the kid went,
Surprised that Liam Brady mightn't have done better?
I felt it was too early in his career. I think had Liam had some experience of managing wherever, in England or wherever, somewhere else, I think that he would have been much more successful.
The manager there who signed you was a very famous and excellent Irish player.
Yeah, he's Liam, you know, he's...
Liam Brady.
Yeah, he became a very good friend, and I think I owe him a lot. All through my career at Celtic, he always looked out for me. Unfortunately, after the 6 months that I lived with him, his family, I broke into the first team. The night that I broke into the first team was against St Johnstone, and after the game he told me that he was going to be packing it in. Of course I was shocked and disappointed at the time, but he always looked out for me through my Celtic career.
Earlier this year I was in Turin in a taxi, and the taxi man, I asked him who did he support. He said Juventus, and he asked me where I was from. I said Ireland. He said Liam Brady. This is a quarter of a century after Liam played with Juventus, and he said, are you amico of Liam Brady? I said, yeah, I'm a friend of his. And he wouldn't take a taxi fare off me because of Liam Brady. He just that image that Liam left at Juventus. And there was a case one time at Celtic Park, Parkhead, Paradise, when something similar happened at the Jungle.
Juventus came to Celtic Park, and we won the first leg. But during that first leg, our fans were cheering Liam Brady. Now, I'm not sure whether I was annoyed about that, Jimmy.
That night at Celtic Park, every time Liam had the ball, he was applauded by the Celtic fans. But it came to a head at the end of the game where Liam Brady had to take a bow in front of the Jungle at Celtic Park as the crowd rose to applaud him. It's something I'm sure that he himself must still remember. Mick McCarthy came to the club in the late 80s and was a very strong centre-half. At that time in the club, it was something that they needed. The period that he was there, he was thought well of by the fans because he actually did a good job as a player.
He was a good leader.
He was a good leader. He was a tough man. He was a tough player.
And now as we fly happily into a new millennium, the Irish connection at Celtic continues unabated. Some great names, managers and players. Martin O'Neill, of course, right up there with the very best of them. They can speak about him in the same sentence as Willie Maley and Jock Stein as a famous Celtic manager. As players, there's young Aidan McGeady coming along, already capped by Ireland. There's the ever-suffering Neil Lennon with that Gaelic football background somewhere in there. And who could forget Roy Keane?
Within minutes of Martin O'Neill's new appointment being announced, the Celtic fans were outside in force. Mr. O'Neill was getting his first taste of the grassroots support that has bolstered Celtic over the years. Looking somewhat overwhelmed by the welcome, he donned a scarf thrown before him and then made this assurance.
It's an absolute honour for me to be the manager here. I'm telling you that now. It's an absolute honour. No, honestly, it is an honour. And at the end of the day, I will do everything I possibly can to bring some success here to the football.
He was a huge success at Celtic.
He handled it all in a real dignified and how can I say, very sensible manner. He never ever was outrageous about anything. But